What's good, y'all? Welcome back. This video we're gonna be showing on painting the engine bay. First thing we're probably gonna be working on right now is basically bagging up the car, putting plastic over it, pretty much bagging up anything else, taping up, pretty much kind of do a little bit of prep work because the next step is going to be sanding. We're going to be working on putting some body filler, two-step process for the body filler. One, I'm going to be using the Duraglass reinforcement auto body filler, and then we're going to go ahead and apply the regular body filler on top of that. And then once body filler is done, you know, when I check it, sand it, everything's good, we'll lay the primer down. From there, we can go into the painting process, which is sealer, base coat, and clear. As far as the painting process is concerned, though, I won't be necessarily doing that. I have a buddy of mine who's actually going to be doing that for me, and hopefully that'll be it as far as the engine bay, which will leave us onto the next step as far as laying the engine in. That still hasn't been done yet, so we still have a little bit of time. While the engine is being built, I'll go ahead and probably just, you know, to keep moving forward with the project, I'll probably start working on the brake lines, install the front big brakes, and then run those brake lines to the new brake booster. So they're going to be custom lines because I'm going to be running them behind the firewall inside. So it's not going to be shown in the engine bay. So I'll be looking into that. But yeah, let's go ahead and let me show you the engine bay, and we're going to start prepping the car and going from there. All right, so this is how I left it off. It has a little bit of etch primer that I sprayed on it because when I was grinding it down, I didn't want to leave just the bare metal. So at least the etch primer kind of gives it somewhat of a protection, so that it doesn't have a bunch of surface rust on above. Everywhere where I welded, all around, I'm going to be applying that reinforcement body filler. So like I said, before we go ahead and do that, let's go ahead and move forward with bagging the car. Pretty much got everything bagged up that I wanted to make sure is protected. Pretty much the whole car. I stopped it right there by the firewall, the suspension, and then I went ahead and covered most of the holes in the engine bay, as well as the front there, the subframe, and that crossbar. So I'm just pretty much gonna get to work now. I'm gonna start off, I think I'm probably gonna start off with this one and just go ahead and move forward, just kind of sanding it and see where it goes. All right, so the first thing I kind of did was basically just scuff up the metal, but now I'm going to be working on doing the actual body filler. So the surface rust obviously is going to go away. I sanded everything to about 80. So everything was kind of 80, so everything's smooth right now. And I'm only going to do this section for now. That's what I'm going to work on first as far as the first body filler. And then I'm going to keep working my way on the apron on every area that I put the welds on. So I'll obviously clean up all the surface rust before I apply the body filler, but just wanted to kind of show you guys where I'm going to start with and then work my way over there. All right, so I just wanted to show a little bit of the sanding process. So this is actually my second coat of the fiberglass body filler. What I did is on the first one, I did a really tight coat on the welds in this area, and then once I went ahead and sanded all that down, and you know, I figured it was like pretty smooth, I went ahead and cleaned it up, and then now I'm doing pretty much another coat of making kind of like the shape of how I want the metal. So I'm just gonna sand. Now I'm gonna wait for this to dry, sand this down, and then once I sand this down, I'm gonna go ahead and move forward on putting the same thing on here, along here, and everywhere else is needed. But just wanted to put the second coat. So that's how I'm gonna do. I'm doing this section, sanding it down. Now I'm gonna do the middle section, sand it down, maybe the strut tower, sand it down, then the back sand it down. So all right, so the second coat on the front panel area, sanded down. You see pretty much after putting that coat how much I took off, because I'm trying to make sure I get this part as smooth as possible. So some of these areas are like, you know, little low spots here and there. You can kind of see here too, it's like a little bit of a dent, but I'm gonna try to see how I can fix that up, maybe dolly and hammer it or something. But yeah, most of the welds are here are covered. Everything's pretty much smooth now. There is this area where it used to be like a bolt or something like that, I think for the relay box that used to be here. Now it's just started working on the second part, which is just this half, pretty much covering the welds that were along here and the welds that were up here and along this upper rail. So I'm going to be sanding that down. Oh, I'm sorry. Also the welds that were along this side. These are already, I covered them. I just, you know, have the Bondo on top of that. But now I'm going to go ahead and pretty much let that dry, sand it down, and go from there. So this is pretty much how the work is going to be continuing. Just putting the Bondo, sanding it down, putting the Bondo, sanding it down until I'm pretty satisfied as far as this first round of body work. Then I'll hit up the passenger side, and then we'll go again with the other body filler that I'll put on top of this. All right, guys, so after a couple hours of sanding, I went ahead and finished the first round of the reinforcement filler. Pretty much, like I said, it's filling up all like the welded areas, kind of got it smooth. I was hitting it with like a 40 grit, then I did 80. By hand, I had to get into some of these edges. It might look a little bit rough still, but for the most part, it's pretty good. Now I'm going to be doing the second coat with just regular body filler. I'll be using Evercoat Ultra Rage for that step and fill that all up, and then just hit it with the glaze at the end. And then I'll move to the next side, the passenger side. So, but yeah, just wanted to show you guys how it's looking. So far, so good. So I haven't been pretty much showing the progress ever since like the last little clip when I used the reinforcement body filler. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys what I did now. I went ahead and used the Evercoat Rage body filler to do most of the body work, and then on top of that, after I sanded it down, I used some glaze, some 3M glaze, go over the surface and try to see how I can get everything as smooth and a nice shape as possible. So I'm kind of in the process of working on sanding that down. Once I sand that down, I'm gonna go ahead, clean it up here, clean up the dust, kind of see if there's any other like possible pinholes or anything like that, and then probably do like a light coat on it, sand that down again, and then I'm gonna get ready for primer. And then from there, with the primer, hopefully, you know, little by little I can notice to see how it's starting to look, and if there's anything I need to do, then I'll correct that at that time, and then I'll move on to the next one. So let me go ahead and show you guys how it looks. All right, so this is where I'm at right now with it. So this is the glaze, and we can kind of see how like the apron's starting to have its form. Not too bad. Still got to work around this area. I haven't sanded that down yet, but I've been starting from like the front, kind of sanding it, smoothing it down, and then working my way to the back. So, and obviously I still got to work on this side, but that's how it's coming. All right, guys, so I just laid the primer down, and man, oh man, this thing is starting to come to life. You might see a little bit of blemishes here and there, actually, because what happened was, I think I started, I didn't let the primer flash, and I started kind of, you know, sanding down a little bit of the areas that I noticed there's some pinholes. So what happened was I kind of just like, oh, let me just leave it alone, and I'll sand it once it's fairly cured. So there's some blemishes there, but before that, it was looking really good. There's some, obviously, you know, I'm not no body man, I'm not no expert, so, you know, there's some spots here and there that I feel like, you know, could be a little bit more flush or smoother. You know, some rough edges here and stuff like that. I'm gonna try my best to see if maybe I can go over that stuff. The back, it's not so noticeable, but the front, you know, obviously I want to kind of make it perfect. This was the first coat of primer. So right now what I'm gonna do is just pretty much go over any little pinholes that I notice, little sanding marks or something like that I notice. Try to fix those, sand them down, and repeat the process pretty much, and go with another coat of primer. But so far so good, I believe. I'm pretty excited the way it's coming out, looking like one piece. But yeah, let's go ahead and continue. I'm just gonna start sanding down again, put some primer, and repeat the process. Probably gonna do, you know, like at least like 3 coats of primer, I believe, before I go ahead and move on to the passenger side. And then obviously we still, once I do that, we also still have to do the seam sealing, because there's little gaps here and there. So I'm gonna make sure I seam seal everything too on the bottom that's necessary. What's up, guys? Man, I've been slacking on the videos. I think I'm probably gonna have to just bunch everything up on what I'm doing with the engine bay, because I already jumped the gun and started going ahead and doing everything on the passenger side. Yeah, I just want to get the engine bay done. So I've been moving forward with working on it. Anyways, enough talking. Let me go ahead and show you guys how the passenger is coming out. I already did all the process as far as like the body fillers, and now I'm just kind of doing the little touch-ups on some of the pinholes that I noticed that after sanding it was there. So before I primer, I'm just trying to fill that up as much as possible, and then I'll go ahead and primer it. But let me go ahead and show you guys. Right, and this is it, guys. This is the passenger side, how it's coming along. Looks like it's coming out pretty good. Like I said, right now you notice I just put a little bit more of that finishing glaze on some of the areas that I was or I had some pinholes and things like that. So I'm kind of just letting that dry right now, and then I'm gonna go ahead and sand that down, clean it up, and see how it looks. And hopefully the body filler just looks good and everything is okay. Obviously there's a little bit of like little corrosion there, so I'm going to sand that down obviously before I go ahead and shoot the primer on there. I don't know if I'm going to shoot the primer individually though. I was thinking of going ahead, since this one's already primered up, and you can kind of see I put a little bit more body filler on some of the areas that I didn't like, so I'm going to have to primer it again. But I didn't know if I want to just go ahead and just do this by itself and then let that dry, and then wait, you know, to do that, then this. So I think I kind of want to do everything at one time. And then I also got to do the seam sealing. So there's some seam sealing areas that I need to go ahead and apply. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. So I might just go ahead and maybe shoot a little bit of like etch primer on the areas where the seam sealer is going to get laid on there. So I could scuff that up and then apply the seam sealer so it kind of grabs on there, and then I'll shoot the primer. All right, y'all. Like I said, I didn't show you all the necessary steps on this, but I'm ready to prime this. This has already been primed one time. This is going to be primed the first time, so I'm going to shoot this side first, go ahead and do some light coats, let it flash, and then once it dries up, I'll go ahead and do both of them at the same time. I'm trying to do 3 coats until it's done. Let's get to it. All right, guys, so I finally got the aprons primered, and man, this is really coming back to life. It's so awesome to see like what your vision is, and then, you know, actually seeing it. So but yeah, so now what I did is I went ahead and sprayed the primer on there, so everything's pretty good. The primer is a little light. Next step, guys, is getting it prepped for paint. I'm gonna go ahead and sand this primer, maybe like with the 400 and then a 600 after that. And then from there, I actually have my boy who's gonna be coming to paint it, and he'll go ahead, scuff it up before sealing it, base coat, and then clear coat. And then obviously the whole front end radiator support is also gonna be done too, same color. But I still got to work on the lower tie bar for the super radiator. So I just kind of wanted to show how the progress is coming, but it's looking pretty good. What's up, boys? Continuing with the video, like everything else, I did not show or record anything regarding the refinishing process, but just to give you guys the rundown, basically My boy came through pretty much in one day. We were able to go ahead and scuff it up. He put the sealer on there, he put the base coat and the clear. If you guys follow me on IG though, I did post it on there, a couple little stories in regards to that, but I didn't record anything like that just because, you know, I was helping him out, and at the moment, I don't really care about the camera. So, but yeah, now I wanted to kind of just basically show you guys how it looks and show you guys the breakdown. All right, so here is the final product of the engine bay. You guys see already, I've already kind of installed a couple things on there, but just so you guys can see the engine bay, how it came out. Pretty satisfied with it. I think it looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but hey, you know, for a newbie at doing body work, honestly, I'm okay with it. But yeah, no, it came out pretty good. I'm happy with it. Looks pretty clean. As you guys can see, the Powerhouse Racing radiator is already installed. I got painted the radiator support. We installed the lower brackets, which if on the other video you guys see, I did the whole video on just the radiator installation. And then we got the air ride system already bolted on. So the bags are back on. Subframe's back on, steering rack's back on, steering column, intermediate shaft. I put on the booster, the Powerhouse block-off plate for the throttle cable, because I'm going drive-by-wire, but we'll get into that stuff later down the road. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys how the engine bay came out. Yeah, we could have perfected a little bit more and make it a lot better, but I think I'm pretty satisfied for what it is now, and looks pretty good. So yeah guys, so that's pretty much wrapped up for this video. The next one though, I did want to do kind of like a breakdown, or no, I'm sorry, not a breakdown, but pretty much what future projects or like the update on the car. I wanted to kind of just show you guys how the car is overall, so you guys can see. And show you guys, like, or give you guys, you know, the ideas of what I'm coming with as far as what's coming. You know, like the different stuff that I still got to do on the car. So, but that's gonna be on another video. I'll show you guys, and yeah, we'll go from there. So, catch you guys in the next one. Peace.